my God. Hello, hello, hello.
What are you doing there? I'm here at PANGEA. I'm by myself.
I couldn't make it. But welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. This is Tym Moss.
And I am Wendy Stuart, and we're so happy to have you here today. In lieu of Tim, I've got my red pillow. Again,
Yes.
I'm just going to grab it. It'll make me think of you.
Oh, okay. That'll be your comfort pillow.
Now, Tim, why are you not here today with me, if you don't mind me asking?
As everybody knows, we normally shoot together in PANGEA. Which is downtown. They've been so supportive of the arts over the years. And now during the pandemic, it's our turn to be supportive of them.
Yes.
So, but this last weekend, I had to, it's such a long, complicated story, but I have to get bridge work done. And they said, well, before we do that, why don't we have you whiten your teeth? Well, I smoke for 30 years. I drink tea every day. So I don't think my teeth can get whitened, but they gave me this whitener and I had to go through this whole process, but they didn't give me instructions. And so over the weekend, I put way too much gunk in the little tray.
I know what that gunk is. I've used those trays.
Peroxide and something else.
Yeah.
It ended up getting all over my mouth. I woke up in the middle of the night and looked like I was foaming at the mouth. And I
you look like you had rabies, I bet.
Yeah, right. Or that I just brushed my teeth and hadn't rinsed. So I take a couple drinks of water, which again, I end up drinking all this gunk.
Oh my God.
When I woke up, I had stomach cramps. I thought I had food poisoning or something. It was nasty. So for a couple days.
Our audience, what not to do if they get those tooth whitening trays, you know?
Yeah, don't drink water when it's in your mouth.
Nope, not at all. Well, I'm very excited about our guests that we have.
Oh my God. I love this woman.
Okay. You guys are not going to believe this. Okay. You all remember the film Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. You remember the album?
The
She is the original Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. She's an artist, a composer. She's recorded some of the most incredible songs with the greatest names in jazz. Without further ado, Diane Steinberg-Lewis, come on in.
Yay! Sky with Diamonds, darling.
I love it. Sing a few bars, please.
No, I just woke up. You guys are ahead of me, see?
Yeah, that's right. You're in California.
I only had enough time to put this face on.
You look gorgeous. You're totally put together. Your face is great, and you got that incredible voice, which has carried you through your life. It's husky. It's sexy. It's just like
sultry.
Let me tell you, I don't sing high like that anymore. So, well, I guess if I vocalize a little bit, but at this point, I told Kenny, I said, why don't I have another alter ego? It's going to be Smoky Topaz. But anyway.
Oh my God. I love that. Would be
so when I come to New York, I'll be Diane Steinberg. I'll do all that.
Yeah.
And then I'll be Diane Steinberg-Lewis, because then Kenny will be there, and then we'll do our Lucy and Desi thing, kind of like what you guys do.
I love it.
I'm going to tell our audience at home that Diane is the wife of Kenny Lee Lewis, who was on our show a few weeks ago. And he talked about his wife so much, I thought, okay, which is amazing. What a great husband, right? Well, we can have her on. So here she is.
Well, I hired him for my band.
Yes.
That's what he did tell us that. Now let's go way back.
Tell us about how the two of you met.
Yeah, way back.
So my dear friend Jeff Lieb, see, I call him Lieb, but he's now Jeff Paris, you know, and he's a singer-songwriter, fabulous keyboard player, and guitar player. He plays every instrument. So Jeff was looking for a girl to be in their band. And so he wanted to introduce Kenny to me because they were putting this thing together. And so in fact, just remember in Sgt. Pepper when the guys are coming out and they're singing, good morning, good morning. They're coming out of the, as we called it, the Continental Hyatt House then. It's the Hyatt on Sunset.
Okay.
That's actually where I met Kenny.
So you met him on Sunset Boulevard.
Yes.
I love this.
I was subbing for Clydeen Jackson, who had to she was going to be out for weeks because they had to do something with her leg or something. So anyway, and she said, learn my show. I learned it in about 4 days. Jeff brought Kenny down to see me. And, and so they sat in, and I got a chance to take a break, and then God, there's so much I could tell you about this.
No, he's playing bass, right?
No, he sat in on guitar.
On guitar, okay.
Oh, interesting, right.
So then, well, we went out to Tiny Nailers, had lunch, breakfast, and everything in the morning. But then later on, I needed a bass player because I had just signed with ABC Records, and they said, "Hey, when are you going to do this next album?" And so they said, "We want you to, whatever you're doing, if you're happy, we want you to stay happy. If you're sad, we want you to stay sad because we like the songs that you're writing." They said, "We're going to put you someplace to work up your repertoire." So I need a bass player. And the guy that I was going to choose wasn't back from Paris yet. So I called Jeff, and he said, "Well, you might want to call Kenny Lewis." And I said, "Well, can he read? Because I'm doing MacArthur Park."
Wow.
So, and he said, "Yeah, he can read." If I was going to have Jeff do it first, but he didn't feel comfortable about it. So then Kenny came in, and back to the Sunset Hyatt House. Donna Summers was very popular at that time.
Oh my! You know what? You just hit such a chord with me. I love Donna Summer. Big Donna Summer freak.
Oh, so I don't know if you did, but I had that wig, that shag wig.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I had the eyelashes out to here.
Gorgeous.
Baby, those were better eyelashes. Now the ones they have curl up, they look like they're wearing rakes or something. I'm going to take them out and turn them upside down into my yard. Don't tell these chicks I said that. But anyway.
No, your secrets are safe with Wendy and Tim. You need not worry.
Old fashioned, baby. I don't like the magnets either. But anyway.
Me neither. I'm glad you brought up the magnets. But we'll get to that. Yeah, but cool.
So anyway, when he came to rehearsal up in Ventura, and they put me up at the Continental Hyatt House on one of those restaurants that goes around and you see the whole city.
I love the revolving restaurant.
Yeah. So Kenny comes in, and so the story is, should I wait and let him tell this story with me so I can argue with him about whose point of view is correct?
Well, I was actually, because I was going to have you tell your side, and then later we'll bring Kenny in.
Yeah, we're here to tell his side.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to hear if these versions match.
Okay, so these walls are going to talk right now.
Yeah, they are. That's why you're here today.
So he comes in, and I go, "Who the hell is that?"
Well, did you think he was handsome or hot? No,
well, you didn't. But
I already met him.
Yeah, this is the second time.
But have you been following him on Facebook?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got time for that? Okay, so he fishes. So when he came in, I'm telling you, I remember a hat that looked like the Buddy Epson hat in the Beverly Hills.
Out. Right, because he fishes. He fishes.
When I saw this hat, whatever it was, he says that my account of him having fish lures in the hat was not correct.
But you're telling it here today. Come on, Diane, did he or didn't he?
Did he do what?
Have the fish lures in the hat.
I don't know. Maybe it was my imagination. But then he walks in, and I go, "Oh my God." So when he walks in, he didn't recognize me because I didn't have on that wig,
right,
or those damn lashes or anything. Look, I got to do music. We'll put that stuff on later.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, we met up there, and so I felt he was just like a little friend, because I used to teach high school.
Wait, he reminded you of a high school kid?
I went, "Oh, he likes to go on diets and everything." He was lying the whole time. I thought I had a girlfriend, So I needed somebody to relate to me. And my other boyfriend, oh my God, he was the drummer. This was first, my Italian Stallion. So
the Italian Stallion was before Kenny.
Yes.
Okay.
And Dennis, I love you. Love Lisa. That's his wife. They're in the industry. Everything is wonderful. And I wish I could tout what movie they're going to be coming out with here pretty soon, but they might kill me if I say.
Yeah.
of the Italians. But anyway, so anyway, Kenny and I met, and then finally, and I mean, I was there for, God, we must have been there for 3 months. So,
Wow.
you know, after a while, you know, things change and you don't see fish lures and things
I was
anymore.
going to say, you can see that after a while, the fishing lures disappear, and what's inside is what really counts.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to learn the flute. So, you know, that was, you know, so he goes, you have to pucker up this way. And I'm puckering up and he's like falling out. I didn't even know what was going on. But anyway.
So was there a point where you were like, "Ooh, I want him to play my guitar"? Like
Tim, calm.
I'll say my bass because see, I'm a keyboard player. And he was, and when he came in to play the bass, I was going, I thought this guy was going to play, you know, but he didn't tell me he was a guitar player. I just didn't remember that he was. And you know, when it comes to guitar players, I love lead guitar players. I love you guys. I love you. Stay off my chords.
Yes, she said it. Do not get on her chords.
Well, because see, you know what I used to do? Just like we're repartee and improv. So, you know, I'd be on stage and I don't know, I'd all of a sudden play some chords and I'd start writing a tune on stage. I wouldn't remember it, but it was like, I can't have some guy getting in front of me going, I think I know where she's going to go. The bass player will go, oh, I can watch the left hand so they can kind of follow me, you know.
Uh-huh.
In the meantime, it's all good.
It is. So, Diane, you know, what Kenny told us and what I know, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, how did that opportunity happen for you? I mean, what were you doing at the time? What was going on in your life that this was a huge thing?
I had just finished my ABC record.
Okay.
And went up to Otis Smith, the vice president, because he said, okay, the album's out, and they wanted to talk to me about what the next steps were, what manager I was going to have, and they wanted to set up introductions, and they had idea for Dick Broder, who had Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis at the time, and a few other artists. And so they went, this might work, you know, and so I went up there, and Charlie Minor. I don't know, you have to look up Charlie Minor. But
What's the name?
Yeah, wow, you look up Charlie Minor, you're going to get a whole lot of stuff, you know. God, are these walls still listening? But anyway, so I'll let the walls do its homework. But the good part of it is,
the walls are going like this right now. La, 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 la.
Baby, I'll tell you, that was a good-looking guy. He was smooth. I was cool, though. Why?
Because it was smooth that you were cool.
Well, you know what? I've come up around some of the most iconic B.B. King. I grew up with B.B. King, Beale Street, Motown. I mean, my mother always, it was like, it was never like, ooh, I got to see this. The only guy I ever just kind of thought I wanted to lay it down and die for, other than Elvis, you know, in the background, that was, you know, the guy that sang, lightning strikes me again. I just loved that tune, you know. And I saw, in fact, I walked in at a dance show. I walked in on him changing his pants, so he didn't have any pants.
Timing is everything in life, Diane, isn't it?
God, I was just like 14 or 15 years old, and I walk in and I go, oh, and he went, no. Come in. And so I went, well, I guess I'm going to come in. He went, get out! You know. I forgot that guy's name. But anyway.
I don't even remember his name. Oh, yeah. But we were with Charlie Minor and we were talking about how the Sgt. Pepper thing happened.
Okay, so Charlie comes in and Otis Smith goes, because all these record guys were very protective of me because they knew my mother. You don't want a lady that's breaking hits, you know, in the all over to quit playing your records, because she never threatened them. They just did it because they loved her, you know. Right. So it's kind of adopted in a way. I worked for everything. that I
Right. Right.
Oh yeah, you totally did. And I do want to talk about Martha Jean the Queen,
Well,
your mother, later, because I want people to find out about her. So okay, we're at Charlie Minor and you and Sergeant Pepper. Then what happens?
So Otis says, Charlie comes in and he goes, he picks up the album and he goes, why don't you come in my office? And Otis says, don't go in there.
It's not safe.
No, he said, don't go in there. I mean, so I have luck. I was 20. What hell old was I? 23, 24, something like that. So I'm grown. So he says, just when you go in there, I want you to stand in the doorway. So Charlie's laughing. And so I stand in the doorway and Charlie's like kicked back, on the phone. I mean, I imagine him that he had his feet up on the desk, but this is good enough. You get it. So
I got it. The position was perfect.
Yeah. And then he's looking at me, and then he's looking at the album. He's got the album because he's got it open up. And the inside picture, to me, is better than the album cover. But he was looking at the inside picture, and so he says, "Yeah, you got her yet? Well, so you're looking for Lucy? Well, I'm looking at her right now."
Wow.
I didn't know what he was talking about. And I went, okay, I'll send the album over in a minute. So he sent it over to Fern Champion of the casting.
Champion Casting, of course I know who they are, yeah.
Yeah, Fern and Mary Beth Dolan and all of them.
Yep.
And then the new manager that he was introducing me to, he says, well, this will work because, and I don't know which one he went to school with, but he went to school with one of the casting directors in high school or I don't know what it was. So I went over there and that story is a whole other thing about the audition, but that's how I ended up going.
But okay, so like it sounds like a fairy tale story, but weren't they considering like Donna Summer was one of the people being considered? Who else was up for it? You had, some stiff competition.
Well, Charlie said, well, they wanted Carly Simon, but
Carly, yeah.
She's like, so he said she has kind of like stage fright or something. And look, that's what he said. I mean, I've seen her in videos and things. I know she performed, but so and then I heard some other Thelma Hopkins, and then who was the one that it was Cleopatra Brown. I mean, there were a myriad of stars that came
for it.
And those are the ones that just stuck in my head. I would have to ask Fern Champion who else came, but and Donna Summers, of course.
Donna Summer she was huge at the time, and yeah, but there you were, and Tim and I say the universe never steers you wrong. You were supposed to be Lucy, and I looked at your pictures. You are, oh my God.
Well, I have a story to tell you there too.
Just one story, Diane? You only have 8 stories.
Okay, I mean, you can shut me up anytime.
We're on a roll here.
Sweetheart, I'm about to pop some popcorn. I'm just like,
yeah, really. We're right here. Oh, happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Okay, Diane, do tell.
Okay, so I was preparing to open up for either George Benson or for Gino Vanelli. That's what the ABC was setting up for me. And I was getting all excited about that when I heard about the Sgt. Pepper thing. And I had told my manager, I said, I don't want to do any movies with rock and roll guys that can't act.
So there.
I had New York on the mind. I'm thinking theater, darling.
Yes.
Right.
And so he said, okay. So then when I heard about Sgt. Pepper, I said, you didn't tell me about this movie with Peter Frampton. And then he went, you said you didn't want to do it. But
Isn't that amazing, Tim?
He said,
Well, I'll do that one.
Yeah. So that's when Dick Broder called over to Fern Champion and followed up because he went to school with somebody over there in the whole pit.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to a costume designer who had become a friend and helped me with some other projects. She's wonderful. But and I thank her for doing one thing. She said, "Oh, you're going to audition for Sergeant Pepper?" And I went, "Well, yeah." She says, "Well, you're not going to get it." And I said, and why is that? She said, "Well, because my friend Donna Summers."
Wow.
So you're not going to get it. And I went, "I'm not." I said, "Can I call you back?" So that's when I called Dick and I said, "What about this movie?" And he said, "You didn't want it, blah, blah, blah." So now we're in the
Oh,
problem.
I want it. I want it.
So now I want it because somebody said, "You're not going to get it." And all I heard was that there were a lot of named people doing it. So I went, well, I might as well try out and see what happens.
Totally.
It was a succession of things, and I hope I had the right chronological order. But then when I went over there and got it, it was very wonderful to share the news.
Oh God, yeah.
And that is the story of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
I love it.
Beautiful.
Now let's rewind. Now you grew up in Detroit?
No.
No.
Yes.
I was thinking.
I was born in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
I was there until
in Elvis country, in Elvis town.
It was other people's countries before it was Elvis.
You wouldn't think if you talk to some people, but yeah, that is.
Well, I mean, I get it, you know, but okay, so I got a story to tell you.
Yeah, we're here.
So, you know, on my dad's side of the family, it's a musical family. And so my dad played the trumpet. You know, he's one of those boy wonders. I mean, even when he was in high school, you know, it was like beep. And so everybody was talking about
Luther Steinberg, for anyone listening.
Yeah. So he had his own orchestra and everything, but he was discovered, and he was very good friends. The whole family was good friends with another jazz musical family, the Finest Newborn Jr. family. Now, and Phineas Newborn was a genius. He was a prodigy on the piano. So, you know, I started piano when I was 5, you know. So my dad used to always say, you know, Finest, because we call him Finest, not Phineas. Finest played Rhapsody in Blue when he was 9 years old.
Wow.
So now see this whole thing. See, when I responded to the girl that said I wouldn't get
exactly.
Yeah. The whole thing is starting with my dad who said, Finest play. It was like throwing down the gauntlet is
right.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Well, I'm going to do it by the time I'm 8.
Yeah, that's a challenge. It's like you go for it when someone does that.
So, and you know, here we are with this Jewish last name, which is a whole story in itself, and we are not going to get.
Yeah, you know, I tried to find out stuff about that, and I just couldn't. It's like maybe you can talk about that later. But
so, I mean, look, it's Henry Louis Gates' time. We're going to talk about. Okay, so listen. So, I mean, I was raised Catholic, so there's the Jewish last name, the Jews in the family that some of them we still can't find, some that we thought we were related to that we're not related to, but we're all kissing cousins now. So, you know. So, anyway, my dad was one of the oldest boys of the Steinberg clan. And my grandmother was married to a Clouston first. So there was 5 Cloustons. And then when Milton Steinberg, who was raised on Beale Street, baby, and traveled with W.C. Handy for a little stint, you know, because he was discovered by W.C. Handy at Pee Wee's Saloon. And you know about Pee Wee's, don't you?
I don't know about Pee Wee's. Tell us.
Okay. So according to W.C. Handy's book, he talks about this guy Pee Wee. And now I don't know what his whole and real Italian name is, but this is a young man who had been on the trains like a hobo or something. And I remember reading this a long time ago. And he went down to the Mississippi River. He jumped off, you know, because he wanted to clean up. I mean, in the big muddy, but he went down. And they cleaned up a little bit, and he found a few coins or something. And I've told the story before, so you all forgive me, but I still
love the story.
Okay, so Pee Wee gets out and he finds some coins and stuff, and I guess some black guys came down there or down there to the Mississippi. I mean, have you been to Memphis?
I've been to Memphis, yeah.
I've been through it, but I haven't spent any
I've been
time
to
there.
Memphis, yeah.
Well, it's better than the Mississippi River. It's better than the river runs through it, because like all that ran through that river is a lot of the history and the rich history of it's really, to me, the story of America. And I feel like
love it.
The heart of America,
Yeah. Well, like, so Pee Wee gets
melting pot of the USA.
Yeah, really. So Pee Wee gets these coins that he finds, the gold coins.
Well, he just found a few coins. So, and the black guys, that came down there, they didn't have any prejudice or anything because he had an Italian accent, because everybody's had their time in the USA with their Irish accents or
That's exactly right. We are a melting pot here. That's exactly right.
Everybody's had their time. And so then they went down. They didn't care. So they took him up to Beale Street. And the way quick story goes is, he learned how to gamble a little bit, took those coins, and he made a little money, got himself a new suit, and then he took some more coins and he got himself a fruit stand. He took more coins.
I love this story.
But then he brings his family, right?
Uh-huh.
So the big thing is that he had this saloon, and all the piano players from New Orleans and everywhere used to come into that saloon. So my grandpa, Milton Steinberg, who, as the story goes, folk story in our family, was that his father, who he never told us who it was, okay, but his father wanted to raise him as a Jew. And he went to Arkansas or wherever it was. Arkansas is right across the bridge, so I don't know how far he went. But he didn't want to stay there. He wanted to be with his mom. I mean, his mom had him when she was 14. Her mother had her when she was 14. And her mother was his mother. His grandfather was Jewish. And that's a whole nother story.
Oh my God, this is like Ancestry.com blow up. It's unbelievable.
And there's still more surprises. So,
oh my God.
Like I said, Henry Louis Gates has got to do it for real for me. I'm putting out an ad. Henry. Okay. So he wanted to be with his mom. I mean, 14 years old, your mom's young, Beale Street is exciting, I mean, they've gotten over the yellow fever and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
They've built up the streets and they got the sewer system starting to go. And so it's a place where everybody goes. I mean, in the heyday, everybody was welcome on Beale Street. If you're gonna hear the authentic stuff, that's where you went.
Yeah, Beale Street could talk, right?
Yeah. and when I saw that movie, If Beale Street Could Talk, I went, well, that I had that in my mind a long time ago. I didn't even know that it was a book, but I thought, what a great title. But anyway, but they didn't talk a lot about music in that movie. So anyway, here we go. So my grandfather was about 10 years old when he went back on Beale Street, and he worked for the Pongs. The Pongs were a Chinese family that had a laundry on the bottom, and at the top, I mean, the buildings were like San Luis Obispo. You could never get over three, you got 3 floors, that's it. So it was always the store, maybe the main place where the store owners lived, and then you had your borders and stuff around there. So, and you have to come to San Luis Obispo sometimes because you really get the flavor. So anyway, so how are you going to be on Beale Street and not hear all that music and see all those?
Yeah, really.
And it was the same way with W.C. Handy. I mean, in his book, he says he went in the alleyways, and the musicians, because they didn't have a lot of money or anything, they used to make their own instruments out of things.
Wow.
I mean, you see these new instruments where people make guitars out of cigar boxes and gasoline.
Or even, paint cans and stuff like that. They used to do,
Yeah. So, listen, you don't need a lot of fancy stuff to make music. I mean,
Right.
think about all of the indigenous peoples all over the world who went and they got rattlesnake things and shells.
Totally.
I mean, you can have PVC pipe and you're going to make something you can blow into and blow somebody's mind.
Right.
So anyway, my grandpa heard that, and so he learned ragtime by ear. And so
Amazing. Wow.
so at 21, he was in Pee Wee's Saloon playing, and that's when W.C. Handy saw him and took him out on the road for a while. He couldn't read. He couldn't read. W.C. Handy was a musicologist, and he had to have people that would play his pieces.
He couldn't read. You know what, Diane? What I'm loving about what you're saying, you're really bringing out what America is about.
Yeah,
They're
right.
really important stories for people to hear.
Yeah.
People were all mixed. They came here, they didn't speak the language, or they had an accent, they didn't have the education or whatever, but you wanted a musical instrument, you made it yourself.
And also one of the things that brought people together was music.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
It's all the time. Whether you're going to dance, have a good time, make love, or express whatever, I don't know why all of a sudden when Kenny gets here, I'm going to remind him that we need to finish the song.
Very cool.
Oh, totally. Oh, it's
So
I'll do it for our anniversary.
there you go.
We already started it. We just got to go and finish it. Congratulations on loving me.
I love that.
Well, listen, I got to do a country thing.
Yes.
It doesn't that sound country to you?
That does.
Yeah, I could totally see that from you, Diane. We have those wonderful photographs that you brought to us. So I'd like to talk about some of those right now.
Okay,
why don't we take a look at it? You're watching If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our incredibly fascinating guest today, Diane Steinberg-Lewis.
Yay!
Why don't we take a quick look at a video that was put together of some incredible photos of Diane Steinberg-Lewis. How about that? Oh my God!
Yeah, that's
Pepper.
Yeah, that's Sergeant Pepper. The very end. Now that's not the one that they used. I don't know how this one was captured. Somebody sent it to me, but that's the end at the end of Sergeant Pepper. And I'm standing next to George Burns and Sandy Feeney, Paul Nicholas, and then of course you see Morris, Peter,
Bee Gees and Peter Frampton.
They're all the Bee Gees. Yeah, what a great photograph.
Yes, I love those guys.
Wow.
Oh God.
That's what I used to promote the show today.
Right.
I'm sorry for cutting out Peter Frampton.
Right, you cut Peter Frampton out.
Because I wanted it to be all about Diane, right? Because Diane's on the show, not Peter Frampton.
So
I'm about equal opportunity.
I said, what picture did you use? She says, well, I used this picture. It had so much life into it, and you were in there with some guy. I went, Peter Frampton?
He'll forgive me, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he will. He will. Oh, this was the first day on the set that I met Donald Pleasance and Paul Nicholas.
Wow.
The first day. So we had to pretend we were looking at something. And, this is the scene where we're supposed to be looking at Earth, Wind, and Fire saying, got to get you into my life. Okay. Yeah.
Wow. Those are fascinating.
And I love Paul Nicholas. And oh, God.
Uh-huh.
This is us before the pandemic hit. We were in the London airport here. And I said, oh, I got to cross my arms like Brian Epstein. I got to do this.
So this is a recent picture that you shot before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now, this is me in the little 4-buttoned whatever that is. And that is B.B. King, my sister Sandra with the long braid, and my sister Trina. And we're backstage at WDIA's Goodwill Review. And, now, see, here's another thing. I this is the first time I met BB King, and I wanted this guy who sang "Raindrops Falling from My Eyes" or something like that. And I said, I want his autograph. And they went, we would like to take a picture of you with BB King. And I went, okay. This is why
You insist.
this is the time when kids are just worthless, you know. I mean,
Yeah, really.
or unappreciative, I should say. And I mean, I sensed that something was important about it, but I would never know how much until later.
Yeah,
Right?
right. That's great.
Yeah. Oh, that is on the billboard. Me with Stargard, who played the Diamonds, and that's Stargard with me. This is right before we were to take off on our with our own individual motorcycle guys.
Love it.
To
Cool.
drive next to the limousine, and I had a great body double. Too bad we didn't have any nudes, because I would have looked so good with that body double.
Oh, we were showing him on the show today too. Darn.
Yeah, I said, yeah, good. No nudes. But anyway, so we were pretty sassy, and that's a lot of wig and stuff. This is kind of, oh, that's my dad. Now,
wow.
I
Good
said,
looking.
I
Good
said
looking guy.
my dad was managed by Sam Phillips for Sun, and he had his, the name of it was Good Kenny. No, okay, so we'll get into it. But he cut this record with Sam Phillips. His brothers were on it, and Phineas Newborn Jr. played the piano. Actually, when you heard it, you would think, okay, this is a piano thing. But my dad just going beep, 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 beep. They changed his name to Lou Sargent because Sam Phillips was looking for a white man with a black sound, and we were right in the transition of going into, you know, and now there are black people on the Steinberg side of the family. So, you know, down south, that one drop theory is what it is. But I don't know what Sam Phillips thought he was going to pull off, but this is what Sam Phillips, my dad, was supposed to be what Elvis became. Okay.
Wow.
Mm, wow.
And I want you to look at his hair, because all those guys wore suits, and they've got them from Lansky Brothers on Beale Street.
Stop.
Wow.
Blues guys. Don't forget, when Elvis went on Ed Sullivan, he had to go down there and do a deal with Lansky so he could make an appearance. And what did he wear? He wore a suit jacket and, you know, those shoes. But he looked at those guys doing this.
Amazing.
I don't know. Okay, there we go. And he studied them, and he opened up for my dad. Now,
Oh, your mom.
This is my mom when she was
yeah, I wanted to hear about your mother. Tell us about your mother.
My mother was on WDIA radio, as you can see there. And I just found out that Bert Ferguson had a daughter named Diane. And that is...
Oh, okay.
Yay. Wow.
Yeah, so she started in 1953. And WDIA was a station, I think it had about 1,000 watts at the time. And it had live classical symphonic music on in the afternoon. And we do love our classical music. Then they had crop reports and all that other stuff going on.
Crop reports and classical music. There you go. Everything you want in one station.
I mean, look, you know, it's like
This was out of where?
Memphis, Tennessee.
This was out of Memphis. Okay.
Yeah.
So Bert Ferguson owned it with a man, John Pepper, and John Pepper died, and they were losing money. And so, you know how you go to these NAMM conventions or these radio conventions and stuff like. So Bert Ferguson and David James, who was the program director, had a woman, and I think she's having a book out come pretty that's going to be out pretty soon. Her name was Christine Spindell. She was like our girl Friday who knew how to balance the books and book the talent and set it all up. Not like today where you have all these people.
Assistants that do everything. Yeah.
It was just them. And so, and they had their engineers also who would talk to you on the air because, in those days, the disc jockeys was in one room and then you had these guys working on, just like a recording studio or something.
Right.
That's even changing now. But this is my mother when she got to Detroit. And that was WJLB. First it was WCHB. And now we're back at the Goodwill Review. A year before I went, this is B.B. King, and all the DJs were dressed like Native Americans. And what they used to do, they would they had a theme every year, Whoa. Well, why, if it was today, maybe it would be like Disney or something, But they were raising money, and it was a Goodwill community radio station. And they used to do everything like put this on so that the people could get money for the baseball teams, for the kids, and uniforms, and build the fields for them to play in. And I mean, they did everything. My mother even said one day in a Goodwill, a lady was trying to find her husband, and they tracked him down by calling WDIA. Another time, a guy left his teeth somewhere, and they tracked it down.
They tracked his teeth down? No.
Wow.
Maybe they found his teeth.
I love it.
Incredible. Oh, well, these are some fabulous, incredible photos. I'm telling you.
This is my dad later. He never gave up his trumpet. And, But, after a while, when he said, I went in with Sam Phillips, I walked out. He was a jazz, dyed-in-the-wool man, and he said, I never looked back. And he continued music, and he continued doing arrangements, and he wrote some songs with my mother that I released with my first album. Okay, this is a memoriam for my Uncle Louis, my dad's youngest brother, who was in Booker T and EMGs. And that's Booker T, Steve Cropper, Al Jackson, and my Uncle Louis Steinberg, who brought Al Jackson to Stax. And these guys, before they were the EMGs, they were just session players for Stax Records.
I remember them.
And you know what Stax stands for?
I don't. Tell us.
Jim Stewart and Hoyt Axton.
Ah.
Wow.
Okay, this is my chauffeur scene.
This is from the film Lucy in the Sky, right? It's from Sergeant Pepper. Yeah.
And they've just come in from Hicksville or wherever, and I'm BD's girlfriend. I'm his everything. I'm his star, but I'm going to escort them. And I almost killed those guys that day because they said, when they get in the car, drive off. Well, they were still standing, and they all. So it looked pretty harrowing. So they said, can you guys film that again and like do it on purpose, or at least protect yourselves? So
at least protect yourselves. You don't get killed.
Yeah. So what you see is them going, they sit down, and then they all go back as if we were driving so fast, and they sped up the. Okay. Now, I have seen B.B. King throughout my entire life.
So amazing, Diane, really.
I saw him. I mean, I saw him in California when 61, when he came to visit my mom. My mom was in California. Listen, when you visit California, and we were all looking out the window, and here comes B.B. in this little teeny mini sports car, and my mother comes out in California. I think it was hot as hell, and she had to come out with a fur coat, because that's glamour. So we just went, why is she wearing a fur coat? But it was a mink stole. So, and then that was when he was opening up Peter Frampton. Okay, now here in Vina Robles, which is not far from here, in San Luis Obispo. So that's Sandy Farina and I at the.
You played Strawberry Fields in the movie?
Yes, she did.
Yes.
Calvin Klein made that suit for her. Wow. And I'll tell you something about that dress, because I don't know if he's going to change up on me right now. But I'll tell you real quick.
Okay.
Alice Cooper's wife, Cheryl, had bought the same dress to wear to the premiere.
Love it.
Backstage, I said, "What are you wearing?" She says, "Well," and she described it. I went, "Was that on the cover of Cosmo magazine?" I went, "Oh,
my God.
Please don't wear that dress."
So Diane, who wore it better? That's the question.
I love Cheryl. We both wore the hell out of that dress. Well, I mean, I'm sure
Fabulous.
And here's the bad thing. That dress is like all lace, and I don't know. She had something on under it. I had nothing on. Now, when I saw these pictures come out, and I looked closely, and went, "Oh my God!"
I'm sure you were very popular.
Yeah. Oh, and that's Paul Nicholas and I doing "You Never Give Me Your Money." Paul Nicholas has an academy in London right now, and he was in Tommy. He played the bully in Tommy.
Yes, yes.
And he is so talented, and he was very naughty on the set, but he was very helpful. He was really naughty. Okay, so
I'm not going to go into it though. Leave us hanging on a limb, Diane.
This is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and thanks to Deanie Parker at Stax Records, and thanks to Steve Cropper and all the guys. They wanted Louis to receive this honor with them, because Doug Dunn at that point was the bass player after Louis. Louis was on for 2 albums and about 2 years or so. And he was older than the other guys. You see that picture, they were kind of like, I don't know, in their teens, maybe about to become 20, and Louis was like 26 with a family. So they called him the old man,
At 26.
Yeah, they were all session players. Yeah. And so Louis was the one that played the bass on Green Onions and co-wrote it and was the founding member. And in the movie Sling Blade, there's a song where, who's the guy that is getting ready to get his head cut off, the country singer? I always forget this name.
Oh gosh, and I can't remember it either. It'll come to me at 2 a.m. when I can.
It's right here on the tip of my tongue.
Tim, is it ringing a bell for you? Ding dong.
No bell. So anyway, he Billy Bob Thornton, that's his name, right? He's sharpened that blade, and he's getting ready to go over there and the head off. And as he's walking, there's this song playing, and I'm watching a movie, and I'm going, boy, that sounds like Memphis to me. You can tell. You can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell Memphis. You can tell Wrecking Crew. You can tell Bee Gees. You can tell. Anybody that's got that sound. You know who it is.
Yep.
So, and at the end, I see, soul dressing. Oh, Steve Cropper, Al Jackson, and Louis Steinberg, and I went, wow, that was the name of the second album, because in my mind, all I could ever think of was Green Onions. But and Green Onions has been played so much. I've seen that in so many movies. I saw one in X-Men. I saw it on cat commercials.
Yes, it's amazing. Listen, a great song is a great song, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah. Talk about legacy. Be around.
Talk about legacy.
That's me and Sandy. That's me. And I'm so happy that he cropped it so you didn't see.
We can't see anything through it.
The lighting.
Okay, then that's the first day I made Donald Pleasance, and I'll tell you a little bit. I was contacted by a writer, and I'm going to read it because I told him I'm going to say it right. I got to be a part of a book by a writer in the UK looking at the career of Donald Pleasance, and so we talked about my time working with him, and in Sgt. Pepper, and the book is going to be a visual guide to his illustrations, illustrious films and theater career.
Wonderful. Well, these have been some incredible photos. Thank you very much for sharing these with us. You're watching If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our incredible guest, the fabulous Diane Steinberg-Lewis. Woohoo!
Yay! And I want to thank the people that tuned in today. I have Billy Hess, amazing photographer, Lori Kaplan, Angela Joseph. Thank you. Ike Avelli was on here. I can't see very well. There's other ones too.
Ike and Margot and Billy.
Margot, yeah.
They all said hello.
I sent this to my friends.
Lori Kaplan, who owns Bra Tenders here in New York, which supplies undergarments for television and film. And theater.
Bras. That's Lori's your girl.
Lori tuned in, which thank you. Hi, Lori. She says, wowza. To your Angela Joseph said, amazing photos and stories, Diane. That is epic, which it absolutely is. Now, your husband, who is the bassist, right, for Steve Miller Band.
Yep.
And since 1982 or 83, I don't remember.
Oh God, it's
because we interviewed him a few weeks ago, and I had asked Diane. I said, "Why don't you step off to the side? We'll talk to Kenny, and then we'll have Diane come on."
Yes.
So Kenny is there waiting in the wings.
So finally, we got to the point, and I said, "Kenny, can you bring Diane on?" And he was like, "No, she left." So I was like, "Oh my God!" So this time, I wanted to be sure to have Kenny come back on and say hello. So, is he nearby or up the block? Or
he's moving over. Kenny's in the house.
You
rang? Ladies
oh my God, we've got both of them.
I mean, what talent in one house?
Yeah, really.
Okay.
Really incredible. So I'm burning with desire about the question I have waited weeks to ask you. You guys have been married, what, 40 years?
Close to it. We've been together for 44 years, but on paper, I think it's 38 or 39.
And one of the
38
years, and one of the craziest, most challenging businesses on the face of the earth. What is your secret?
Well, we both have a platinum album, so that made us. We had hung it up here earlier, but she wanted me to.
Your face.
No. He put them up there, and he started putting holes in the back of my. And I.
No,
take them away.
We've always been sort of equal. The way that the analogy that I use, and I might have said this in the interview.
Are you going to do that holding up the temples?
Yes,
No,
it's like two Greek columns holding up the portico of a classic Greek architecture. They're separate. They're on either side of the porch, but they're just as important as holding up this concrete building. And because they're separate and they have their own corners that they live in, they architecturally bring strength to the house.
I love this. Is the most amazing metaphor. Kenny, you thought of this, or Diane gave her input on it? I mean,
I'm a writer, so I think of this giant.
Now, also, we heard Diane's version of the outfit you had on when you first, or the second time you met. Now we need to hear your side of the story. How you did
do it. Move over?
No, she described this hat as being like the one that Buddy Epson wore in Beverly Hills. But it really
remember that hat.
It was a gift from a hat store to one of the bands I was in, and it was kind of a pimpish looking kind of hat.
No, there was no pimp in it.
There was no pimp. Diane says no
pimp in it.
No tears or any kind of thing. She just has this vision of me being, like Jeb on the Beverly Hillbillies. I can't do anything to change that. But my suit was funky. If you remember the outfit that Tony Maiden, the guitar player for Rufus, used to wear, it was a patch suit. It was a suit made of patch material with big wide lapels. That was a band outfit. That was the only suit I had, so I was wearing that. So I looked kind of like Tony Maiden from Rufus, but the hat was not beat up. It was just had been around for a while and had been in sweaty beer-soaked stages, so it probably was funky.
Well, now Diane, you were saying earlier about a song, the two of you writing together.
Yeah, we've written quite a few songs. I was saying, congratulations on loving me.
Oh, yeah. That was a song we wrote with David Luark, who played with Eddie Money and Sammy Hagar.
Wow.
We never released it. We did finish it.
How come you didn't release it? What made you not release it?
Well, because it wasn't an artist recording. It was just a songwriting
and it was a country
demo.
thing.
we've given it to country artists or
You
publishers,
did? Maybe
pluggers,
try
you know, song pluggers and stuff. But we just never got a cover on it. But it still would be good today for a traditional duo, like a Dolly Parton and a
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, think of somebody, Willie Nelson. They could do it. You know?
No, see, country has now become 70s, 80s rock.
Yeah, it's just the
You know,
Eagles.
Right. Or pop. But
traditional country music is still alive. You just have to seek it out.
I did write a song called Freeway Ramp Roses. You know,
Yeah, that was a good one.
listen, I figured I want to write some jazz. I want to get, because
I love that.
I got everything. So, I mean, classical, I've got all kinds of things, but I just never wrote country. And so I wrote
I
this.
love this.
And you know, anytime anybody forgets an anniversary, they pull over on the side and they go, "Can I have those roses?" You know, you buy off the corner. You know?
Yeah, you know, the businessman that's in a hurry.
Yeah, we call them delicatessen roses in New York. They sell them at the delis.
So I said, "Don't bring me those freeway ramp roses, baby.
Yes.
Ring on it."
That's where it came from.
In fact, he did buy me that, and he bought me this.
Yeah,
Oh,
all
nice.
those rocks that she's wearing now, I bought in Montana for her.
Nice. Well, I adore the two of you, and I
this is
absolutely
different.
love your love. I love your relationship.
Right, Tim. I love your relationship. My husband and I are both long haulers too. I think he's sitting right here. He does our lighting, 38 years or 39 years. I've lost track. But you know what? The analogy of that Greek temple is really the way to go. I feel that way too. I do want to kill him sometimes. Come on, Diane. There's had to be times we wanted to kill Kenny, and you know.
Yeah. He just went fishing.
Well,
And wait a minute.
Yeah, don't let him finish a sentence, Diane. You can't let them finish a sentence.
He's already talking about
Go on.
and he went fishing and fishing the time before that and hiking. And then the next thing you know, every time he leaves, I go, "Don't do anything stupid," you know.
yeah, that was echoing in my head. But getting back to the two pillars, not only are we individuals in terms of just of our egos, but our checking accounts, our telephones, our car leases, our everything
Wait a minute.
business-wise.
No.
Everything was the only thing that we did together. The only thing we did together was just file jointly to save the dough.
Be quiet.
That's
He's gonna tell you what size underwear I wear next. So you know, it's like,
you know that, Kenny? Do you know what size? I bet you he doesn't know.
no, he doesn't. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't even know I had Botox up 3 months ago. Yeah.
He was out hiking.
I think you're lying.
I'm lying.
He's absolutely beautiful.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Oh my God. Well, if I were straight, I would be looking for a wife like Diane.
Yeah,
You're
you
absolutely
guys are a great
fabulous.
couple. Yeah. Really great. Diane, real quick, you mentioned you're doing a documentary about your mother. And one of the things I do want to get in here, your mother ended up, she had dropped out of the business and then came back and bought a radio station. Your mother was so ahead of her time.
My mother, well, first of all, that WDIA became the first Black programmed radio station. It was still owned by white people in Memphis, but it was the first.
Yeah.
And everybody copied them. Everybody, even Haas Allen, all the white DJs who find talking like that and everything, you know. And it's like, because it's just like, I mean, they went to 50,000 watts, and they became number one. And then my mother became Martha Jean the Queen. And she said it was a joke at first, but she says it's true now. Even sometimes she said, I'm the posed, struggling queen. But she always thought of women and the underdog, and if she did it for new artists, she would play things that nobody else would play. She'd go off the playlist. They say, no, don't play Barbara Streisand, you know, nobody will play her Christmas thing, and my mother would give me that record, and she'd put it on, and here we go with Oh Holy Night. So you ask Clive Davis or anybody else, they all know her.
Right.
Wow.
You just have to make sure that everybody knows that she was a pioneer in this industry. And then she became the first Black woman, and it was said the first woman, but I'll just say Black woman right now till I get this straight. But
So So incredible. And this documentary is when do we know when this will be released?
No, because we're right in the throes of trying to make sure everything.
I finally got her to commit to sit down this week and do an outline, at least, of the way this documentary.
There you go, Kenny.
She always talks about it, but we never write it down. So because I'm a writer,
well, you've done all the legwork so far. But anyway, I'm kicking him under the.
I did that earlier to my husband.
I'm actually feeling it.
You feeling my leg up? I don't feel it.
From one pillar to another pillar.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so
now, how can people find out more about Diane Steinberg-Lewis?
Yeah, so I don't know that I answered your question about my mother. Oh, she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She's in the Payne Center. She's in the Smithsonian. She's
Black African History,
National Black Hall of Fame.
It's amazing. I mean, Martha Jean,
really
the Queen, unbelievable history that your mother has. Real activist, ahead of her time.
And even in Pennsylvania House of Representatives, they gave a proclamation about 4 or 5 years ago, recognizing her as a role model and as a they consider her a civil rights leader, especially for women's things. So,
oh my God,
this has got to be acknowledged, and it's been. It
was acknowledged.
It was acknowledged.
They put it in the records of the State House.
Yeah.
Right.
And she also, you know who the Funk Brothers are, right?
Yeah, I do.
They were her band, which was Earl Van Dyke's band, at the Chit Chat Lounge in Detroit. And I went up one day and she said, "Earl, I really like what you guys are playing. You guys sound funky. I'm going to call you the Funky Brothers." And she went, "I don't know, that doesn't sound good. I'm going to call you the Funk Brothers." And so that stuck.
That's how that happened.
Wow. And when I started hearing, Kenny and I got on this crusade because we had heard people saying that Duck Dunn played on Green Onions, and I went, "Boy, we got to get this straight." There was Louis, and then we heard that Mom, and I said, "No, we got to get this straight." So this has got to be set straight. And I think there are people in the industry of the radio, those who are still around, those who came up, they know. And we just got to make sure that people like Paul Davis and Barry Gordy and Smokey Robinson of all.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Got to be interviewed.
Well, when you go into the museum at Motown, her picture is in Studio A, hanging right over where the strings are.
The Queen. Amazing.
So she's recognized, but it's just not publicized.
It's largely
right.
But we just got to push it until when Black History Month comes up or Women's Month comes up, she needs to come up.
Absolutely. Agreed.
The first Black woman to own her own standalone AM radio station in the nation. So I think she really paved the road for Oprah and Kathy Hughes.
Right. She was the first owner of that station.
Yeah.
So that's something. And it's
that is something. That is really something.
First woman of color to own a media platform.
Wow.
And she was she was not the first person of. Did you say first woman?
First woman of color. Yeah.
First woman of color.
Yeah. See, before that, there was WCHB in Inkster, Michigan, that wooed her from WDIA in Memphis. But those women were married to the men who owned the radio.
Right. She was standalone. Right. She was really standalone.
And she was another one. If you told her she couldn't do it, she'd go, "Oh."
Oh, and who else is like that? That's you. The Dr. Pepper movie.
She said to me once, she says, "Boy, if somebody tells you you can't do it, you just turn into a wildcat."
That is true.
Well, Diane Steinberg-Lewis, thank you so very much. And Kenny Lee Lewis, thank you very much. It's always fun to see you. Thank you for joining us here on If These Walls Could Talk.
All right. Oh, I love this.
So,
you guys are great.
We're both Libras. Did she tell you that?
No.
Oh,
we're both Libras.
And how many days apart?
I'm September 27th, and he's
October 21st. But we see when she tilts this way, I tilt that way.
Ah.
But as long as the two pillars are standing at the end, that's all that matters.
I didn't say that the porch on the building didn't rock and roll on. Back and forth. It does balance somehow.
Are we
Thank
at the
you
end
so
of this?
I can sit here and talk to you forever, as could Tim. And you know what? The next show we do with you, the documentary will be completed. Let's dedicate it to your mother, Diane. That's an important story. We want to get it out there. It's a very important story on so many levels, especially now. I'm sure you agree.
Yes, absolutely.
Wendy and Tim and Chauncey.
Chauncey, yes. And
Chauncey, our
thank you,
producer.
Chauncey, for the wonderful slideshow that you put together.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you again so much, Diane Steinberg-Lewis and Kenny Lee Lewis. Thank you.
If these walls could talk, see everybody next week.
Have a margarita for me.
Or two.